Okay, so welcome back to the Vimshottari Nakshatra Dasha course. In this section, we're going to be looking at specifically the ninth house, the influences to the ninth house. So as always, with the rest of this course, remember that the indications that we're looking at, whenever the ninth house gets activated by dasha, whenever any planets dealing with the qualities that we discuss here, whenever they get activated by dasha, that's when you're going to experience what is described through these various verses. Meaning that with the first verse, with the ninth house, which rules over prospects in life, preceptor, father, grandsons, hips, family, members, and religion. If the ninth house is associated with gentle planets, the indications of this house are benefited, with cruel planets otherwise. So here we see the ninth house. It does have the impact of Venus through Rashi aspect. It also has the impact of Mars and Sun through Rashi aspect. So 2 cruel planets versus 1 benefic planet. Now we do have to remember that Mars rules this ninth house, so the influence of Mars is actually going to help, even though it is still going to work a person hard. But let's say, during the dasha of Mars, the person's going to work hard towards their prospects in life. They're going to work hard towards their religion, their spirituality. But during that Mars dasha, since it's the ninth lord and it's a malefic, they're going to make good headway, especially since this Mars is in a natural friend sign. During a Venus dasha, we're also going to see support to this, except a little bit easier support because it's a benefic planet, a gentle planet. During the Sun's dasha, this is another cruel influence. So we're going to have to consider what are the issues of the Sun, how does the Sun function? And during that dasha, the ninth house is going to be impacted based on the indications of the Sun. But they're going to have to work hard to be successful with ninth house issues. If the ninth is located with a gentle planet through the Navamsha, or if its lord is located in many good dignities throughout the Vargas, and does not occupy a malefic Shashtiamsha, one is strongly entrenched in religion and morality. Okay, so we're looking for the ninth lord. So in this chart, Mars being where it's situated, check the degrees here. Okay, so Mars being where it's situated, that's going to be in the Navamsha of Cancer, which is a benefic. We also see that based on where Jupiter is placed, it's also going to be in the Navamsha of Cancer. Now Rahu will be there as well, but there will be some benefic influences, which is going to help to support this idea of one being entrenched in religion and morality, because those are benefic influences, gentle influences. Now the Shashtiyamsha the ninth lord is in, okay, based on its position, I believe that's Maheshvara, which is a benefic, a gentle Shashtiyamsha, the 24th Shashtiyamsha if I'm correct. And so we get 2 of the 3 influences from this one particular phrase speaking towards religion and morality. This actually is a very religious, moral person. The next phrase, if Jupiter or Venus occupy their own or friendly Navamsha, and the lord of the ninth house is with a strong benefic, one becomes the head of a religious institution. So if Jupiter or Venus occupy their own or friendly Navamsha, well, based on Jupiter, he will be in Cancer, as I mentioned, so he'll be exalted. Venus will be in Sagittarius, and in a friendly dignity. Okay, so we see in the Navamsha both Jupiter and Venus occupy either a friendly or their own Navamsha. And we already know that the Lord of the Ninth, Mars, is with Jupiter in the Navamsha. So one becomes a head of a religious institution. Now again, we have to kind of qualify this. Now they're not the Pope, they're not a priest, but they do run meditation sessions and yoga sessions. And they're considered to be very important in the organization in which they participate. So if the Lord of the ninth house occupies the Navamsha sign of Jupiter, Venus, or Mercury, and is aspected by benefics, and located between benefics, one becomes religious. So again, we see these positive influences moving through the Navamsha, benefic planets, gentle planets, dealing with the ninth lord. And when will this arise? Again, during the dasha of Jupiter, Venus, or Mercury, or during the dasha of Mars related to these other planets, assuming they have this combination. In this chart, the ninth house lord does not occupy a Navamsha of Jupiter, Venus, or Mercury. Now, if benefic planets occupy the ninth house, and we don't see any planets occupying the ninth house here, but is located in the Navamsha of a malefic, and is occupying a malefic Shashtyamsha, one resorts to religion through hypocrisy. So this is one of the ways to tell, is a person that we're dealing with a hypocrite? Are they religious? Just, I don't know, for whatever reason hypocrites become religious. We can see that in the chart. If the Navamsha sign of the ninth house and its lord and significator belong to a benefic planet, and it's with a benefic or gentle planet, aspected by a benefic, one is sincerely devoted to religion and morality. So again, the Navamsha sign of the ninth house and its lord and significator belong to a benefic. So we'd go and we'd find the Navamsha sign of the ninth lord and its significator. And it's with a benefic. This makes one sincerely devoted to religion and morality. So again, previously we looked at hypocrisy, now we look to sincere devotion. If the ninth house is occupied by a malefic, and the lord of the ninth is with a malefic, in between malefics, or is located in a malefic Shashtyamsha, one becomes sinful. Now again, we don't see that in this chart. We need to consider, what does sinful mean? Well, that means making problems for oneself that don't lead to higher understanding and clarity. So those people who just always seem to dig their hole a little bit deeper, that's kind of what we're talking about here. So if Rahu and Saturn occupy the ninth house in the Navamsha of a malefic planet, and the two are aspected by Gulik, and the lord of the ninth house is located in malefic Navamsha, the native engages in very cruel deeds. All right, so this is one way to determine, is the person we're dealing with going to be very cruel in their deeds? And we need to be cautious and remember that as we go through each of these combinations, that you really have to think about, why is this the case? Why does this make sense? This is the only thing that's going to make you a good astrologer. And one of the reasons why studying these old books are so important, not just to memorize, but to actually think things through. They teach you how to think like an astrologer. So let's think about it one more time. If Rahu and Saturn occupy the ninth house, all right, we know the ninth house deals with religion, morality, and the Navamsha of a malefic planet, and the two are aspected by Gulik, which is one of the shadow planets, the Upagrahas, and the lord of the ninth house is located between malefics in a malefic Navamsha, one engages in very cruel deeds. So essentially what we're seeing here is the influence of the ninth house and the ninth house lord under the influence of cruel planets. So therefore we'll be more likely to engage in cruel deeds. Okay. If the lord of the ninth house is a natural benefic, the ninth house is occupied by a benefic, and the sun is located with a benefic, one's father is beneficial to the native. So if the lord of the ninth house is a natural benefic, that shows the relationship in general is going to be beneficial. The father is going to be beneficial. Now, we do have to take into consideration the planetary relationships. Right? We've gone over this before. Why is that? Because we need to look at the lord of the first, which is the sun, and the lord of the ninth, which is Mars. So if these are friendly towards each other, then that's going to show friendship between the two people. So from the sun, Mars is neutral to the sun. From Mars, the sun is neutral to Mars. This will be a more neutral relationship. So we have to always remember to color it that way. This is the reason we have these planetary relationships, these planetary friendships, to help us understand how planets are going to work with each other. Right? Otherwise, what happens is we see that for a Leo ascendant, it should be that since Mars and Sun are friendly towards each other naturally, that every Leo ascendant will have great luck with their father. And most of you know for Leos that's not true. But that's going to come down to the influence of the planetary relationships between each planet. All right, always remember that. Now, the ninth house is occupied by a benefic, and the sun is located with a benefic. Well, here we have the sun located with benefics. So that adds to it. And why the sun located with a benefic? Because the sun is the natural karaka of the ninth house. So when we look at the houses, we also have to look at the natural karakas. Now, one's father lives long and one is benefited from him if the Lord of the ninth house is associated with or aspected by Jupiter or Venus. All right, well, we see that the Lord of the ninth house, which is Mars, is aspected by Venus. And the Sun, the Karaka for the ninth, is with Venus, a benefic. So, one's father will have a tendency to be more long-lived and to benefit the native. So you see how these are working here, right? We look at benefics with house lords. We look at aspects to the houses in question. We look at the indicators of the house. We look at the planet through the Navamsha and other Vargas. And the more confluence we get saying support, well-being of that house and the indications of that house, the more likely the person is going to enjoy and appreciate that area of their life. And it's going to be that way with every planet. It's going to be that way with every house, every area of life that you're looking at, as long as you know what to look for, the house lord, and the Karaka. Okay, so let's continue on further down. Okay, so if a natural benefic planet is located in the ninth, and the Lord of the ninth is located with enemies, or occupying the signs of debilitation, or if these are located in malefic Shashtiamsha, one's father will have trouble. We already know that the Lord of the ninth is not in a malefic Shashtiamsha. We know that a natural benefic is located in the ninth. We don't have that. The Lord of the ninth is located with enemies. We don't have that. So the indication for trouble to father in this particular chart doesn't happen to be there. Now these are interesting ways of looking at things, and you can do this with the various people in your life. One born in a Lagna or ascendant, having the sign falling in the sixth house of the father's birth chart, is at odds with the father. Now what does that mean? So here's Leo. Let's pretend that the father is a Pisces ascendant. So here we have the sons, meaning the child, Lagna, falling in the sixth house from the father's ascendant. So this will make one at odds with the father. If the child's ascendant is in the ninth, the 11th, or second from the father's ascendant, this makes one obedient to the father. So if we would have had the father's ascendant being Cancer, then we would see that the child's ascendant falls in the second from the father's. If we would have the ascendant being Sagittarius for the father, then the child's ascendant would fall in the ninth, again, friendly. If the father's ascendant was Libra, again, we'd have the son or child's ascendant falling in the 11th house. That would make one obedient to the father. And you can do this with, again, anyone that you know, as long as you know what house is represented by that individual within your family or within your life. So if one's ascendant falls in the 12th house of the father's chart, this causes trouble to the father and makes one live far from the father's home. Again, that would be if we had a Virgo ascendant for the father, then the child's ascendant would fall in the 12th house. So if the Lord of the 9th and 3rd are located in the 9th or 3rd, and they're in good dignity, one's self and father have good morals. So the Lord of the 9th and the 3rd, located in the 9th and the 3rd. So no, we don't have that here. So we can't tell that from this individual. Now, one's wealth and luck will be wanting if the Lord of the 9th is in the 8th. And, this is what we have to remember, and aspected by enemy planets or by a planet in debilitation. And the 9th Lord is in a malefic Navamsha or sign of debilitation. Now with this chart, one's wealth and luck will be wanting if the Lord of the 9th is in the 8th. Well, here we don't have the Lord of the 9th in the 8th, so that's good. So now we don't move on, but let's pretend we did. And that Lord of the 9th in the 8th was aspected by an enemy planet, so it's getting negative Lajatati Avashtas against it, or by a planet in debilitation, and the 9th Lord is in malefic Navamsha or in a sign of debilitation. So that would cause a person to be wanting in their wealth and in their luck. We'll go over one more, and then keep in mind that there are quite a few other sections to this text, and I will be posting them at astrovedicastrology.com under the blog post associated with this video. So you can go there and you can read the rest of these indications on your own. So if the Lagna Lord and the ninth Lord, or the ninth and 11th trade signs, one attains good luck due to mutual exchange. Now again, we see the Lagna Lord exchanging with the ninth, or the ninth and 11th Lords exchanging. Why does this give good luck? Because the ninth Lord, the ninth house, the ninth sign, all these are related to luck and prosperity. So getting the Ascendant Lord going into the ninth, and the ninth going into the Ascendant, that ties together good luck for the individual. The same thing with the ninth and the 11th. The 11th are our gains, our goals that we achieve. When we get those exchanges between the ninth and the 11th, then that ties together the ninth and the 11th houses so that we are lucky and fortunate in gaining our personal goals, wealth, finances, things of this nature. And one more. And this is a good one to keep in mind. And this speaks to why certain yogas may or may not work for various individuals. If there are yogas of good fortune and luck, and there are yogas of affluence or royalty, and there is a yoga for charity, then one will be charitable. But if there are yogas to be charitable, one must be lucky and affluent to be charitable. So it's essentially showing you the logic of, you can't just say you have a Raja Yoga and you have a Bhagya Yoga, therefore you're going to be charitable. That just means you're going to have wealth and money and luck. The same way that if you have a yoga to be charitable, but you don't have wealth and the resources to share, well, you can't really be charitable. So as we're looking at a chart, we have to logically understand what we're talking about. And do we have the complete foundation, the complete recipe to make something occur? Okay, so if there's a charity yoga, but no yogas for affluence and power, no Bhagya yogas, no Raj yogas, then what happens? Well, one becomes a priest, or one may supervise a charity. So you see, we can be involved in charity, but not have the resources ourselves to be charitable, right? So we need to learn how to see all of these different pillars of things we want to accomplish. You know, if someone has great intelligence to be an engineer, but they don't have a karma that indicates being able to get a high enough education to become an engineer, well, then they might be a good problem solver, they might be a good handyman, but they might not necessarily become an engineer. So we have to look to see, does everything line up to give us what we need, the recipe to give us what we need in order to have success, right? In order to have a happy family. Well, if someone wants to have children and someone wants to have a loving spouse, and they only get one of those things based on their chart, is that going to give them a happy family? Well, hopefully they can work it out, but they're not going to get the full recipe for it based on their preconceptions and their ideals and expectations. So we have to look at all these things to make sure that a person is able to actualize fully what the chart says. Are all the recipe pieces there? Okay, so we'll go ahead and conclude for today in regards to the ninth house. Again, there's much more to be said about it. You can go to ashtravedikastrology.com and find the blog post related to the ninth house and the Vimshottari Nakshatra Dasha course. And read those on your own and think them through, because if you think them through, they're going to make a lot of sense to you. And when you start looking at charts, you're not just going to be dependent on memorizing anything anymore. You're going to say, okay, I see this combination, and now I understand how to think like an astrologer, so I know what this combination means. That's really the goal of all of this. Okay, so be well, and thank you.